thank you, everyone who's attending. I see that we're getting growing numbers of participants session over session. So really glad to see that community growing and get people getting more and more interested in Qatium, but generally more generally speaking in water management and spreading the word out there on what can we do better. So as the one that probably seen these kind of webinars before, I like to start with like, who are we? What are we doing? For the ones that are seeing this webinar for the first time. So what is Qatium? What do we do? And so on. So let's start with one important part of Qatium organization, which is our mission, right? So our mission is to make digital water available to all utilities, big and small. Like I've probably said it before, like we're not joking around with that statement. We had just a conference in the States a couple of days ago where one of our smaller utilities was presenting with my colleague Luke Butler, and so they're servicing less than 2,000 people. And on the other end, we have some other large water utilities based out of the UK that you'll probably see us talk a little more about in the coming weeks and months. And some webinars are taking shape, which actually their staff is larger than that servicing population, right? Their staff is over 5,000. So we really want to make something for everyone and to be able to service large and small utilities. So, without further ado, I'll go dive a little bit deeper into what we mean and how we do that. So, we really have like three parts of in our operations in water management inside Qatium. So, first part is actually getting your data inside Qatium. So, really allowing you to digitalize like your network operations by starting by digitalizing your network. So we're actually using GIS data, hydraulic modeling, any kind of SCADA, really readings, any historical live data that you might have in order to create that Qatium network. That Qatium network is really an aggregation of all this data that I just mentioned in order to give you a real-time view of your network and to know what is happening in your network, right? So once you know what is happening in your network, you can actually create operations directly in Qatium. So what does that mean? It means basically testing out, planning, seeing what are the impacts of turning on and off a valve, a pump, changing the setting of a PRV. So all this is really quite key into digitalizing your operations and therefore your network, right? So we're connecting. That's the second step, right? So I mentioned live data. So we're connecting the live data into Qatium. So really allowing you to not only work in the past, but also work in the present and the future. So understand what is happening in your network. Beautiful case of leakage happening in one of our customers' network. Check out a webinar that we did at the end of last month. National Rural Water Association webinar. So check out, look out for that. But what we are seeing is that with all that live data, all that asset data, all that operational data, basically, we're able to have a situational awareness of the network, seeing what is happening, whether it's a leakage, whether the pressure is dropping in the network, and we actually have leading indicators to that, and are be able to pinpoint in where the issues are in the network, and basically send directly operators, right? And in order to fix it, notify the customers and so on. So really connecting all information in order to give you this intelligence, those insights for decision making. And last but not least is customization, right? You can imagine that a small community of 1,000, 2,000 people is probably worried about other, not exactly the same thing. More a large community, a large water utility, really, of millions of people, right? So different interests. Some of them are looking for visual, situational awareness and so on. The other ones are looking more for optimization of current processes, of current operations, going the extra mile in the customer service, and so on and so forth. And so that's a little bit what we're doing here with Qatium. So once you have all this information in Qatium, so when I say all this information, you don't need to already have live data. Obviously, the more data you pour into Qatium, the better it is. But only with GIS data or hydraulic modeling network, you can already create simulations. So those simulations actually allow you to create scenarios. So when I was mentioning a little bit earlier, as in, apologies. And so what I was mentioning earlier about testing scenarios, testing operations, seeing what is happening in the network, and testing out any kind of like emergency responses to see the impact on the network. And so that's all based on simulations that happen directly in the network, directly in Qatium in your browser. The warnings is the middle ground, right? So is what you want to know. All those warnings, all those leading indicators is things that might come from the live data, might come from your simulations that you're creating, or both altogether, to allow you to be prepared, to allow you to understand what is happening in the network. Are you affecting critical customers, hospitals, schools, and so on? Or are you actually affecting maybe people that are on dialysis and so on? So making sure that all your network is functioning as well as possible, and that your response to an emergency is not impeding the service to those critical organizations or customers. And finally, enhancement. So that's where a lot of the large utilities are going to be, right? So they've been investing in hydraulic modeling. They have live data by the bucket, and where they're focusing their efforts is like enhancement, right? So how can I optimize my operations? How can I make sure that my people in the field have access to that kind of information that we spend enormous amounts of time and resources into creating and building? And those are all the systems that are supporting this live data, all the systems that are supporting those hydraulic models, all this data set that is being acquired, processed, and so on, not only by machines, but also by humans, right? So a lot of efforts that needs to get somewhere, right? And so that's where Qatium allows you also to spread the word, right? So spread that knowledge deep inside your organization down to all the operators. And so that's all the enhancement that we want to allow you to do. Now, what are we here to talk about? That's you've heard me talking enough about Qatium as a general speaking. You're here to hear, yes, about monitoring water quality. So this is one of the use cases. Before I dive into it, this is one of the use cases that Qatium can help you with. If you've seen some of ours or other webinars before, so we also help out on managing demand and fire flows, flushing sequences, managing system pressures, and so on and so forth. And so let's dive right in today. So we're going to talk about mainly water age. So I have some cool demo to show you. And what we're going to be able to see is to really understand, where is the water stagnating into my network? Where do I need to actually perform some flushing operations, for example? But we also be able to see how the water age just moves and evolves across the day. and actually understand if there is any action, anything happens, what is the impact on the network, right? So let's dive right in, and after that we'll talk some more about the SDK and the rest. So Qatium, for those who are new, a very quick 1 minute brief on what you're seeing right now on the screen. So here is Qatium. Here is a map of Magnetic Island. So this is our demo network. So if you were to start with Qatium, you'll be able to have access to that network. Where you'll be able to test and prod and just understand what this platform is all about, how easy it is to use, and so on. What we're seeing right now is all the assets represented on the map. So this is Magnetic Island, like I just said. And what you can see, if I zoom in a little bit more, those flow animations are showing the direction of the flow within the network. These are based on the simulation. So every time there is a change in the network or as a base, Qatium runs a simulation. So you open Qatium, runs a simulation. You make a change in the network, run a simulation. From this simulation, we actually get flow results, pressure results, tank levels, valve statuses, settings, pumps, and so on. So all the details that you are going to be interested about. So everything that actually matters to manage a network. So just very quickly, I'm showing the flows right now. I'm going to turn it off, show you a little bit about the pressures. So through hexagons, as you zoom in, you can see that they are becoming smaller and smaller. You can filter out and focus on one particular type of pressure, zooming to the minimum, maximum by clicking on it. You can switch to satellite view. I know that this is quite useful from an operator standpoint. Not everyone is used to the dark mode and to the dark maps. So being able to switch from one to the other. And at the bottom, a timeline. So being able to actually simulate what is going to happen in your along the day, depending on your scenario, but also being able to go back in the past and see what happened. So here you can see that I have a couple of warnings with those orange, yellow, orange triangles, and I can dive right in. But today we're going to talk about water quality monitoring, right? So let's pack up those pressures and let's dive right into the water age. So I'm going to flick up that switch, and straight directly inside Qatium, you're going to be able to see red spots, which are going to be where your water is getting old, and green spots where your water is still relatively fresh. So one thing to set everyone straight. So this is a case where there is some chlorine dosage. The tanks right here, another right here, and there are only two. And from that standpoint, basically we're resetting the water age to 0. Enough technicalities. Now is the time to go into actually what really matters. So what do we want to know? What do we get from that, right? So it's all well, David. I can see a pretty map. You told me like green is fresh water, red is potentially problematic water because the water is getting stale and staying in there. So what can I do to remedy that? So very great question. So what we can do is probably some things that a lot of utilities are doing out there is just doing a flushing, for example. So we're going to use demand spike. So demand spike is a tool to allow you to select a hydrant, for example. So we can see here, I know already the network, but here I'm selecting a hydrant and I can apply a demand, right? So I'm going to add 15 liters per second demand basically simulating the opening of that hydrant. And then I'm going to keep that layer of water age on, and I am going to play fast forward on the network. And you can see that straight away, we can literally see the fresh water coming into that zone and the impact of it, right? So that is one of the great insight that you can do with great things that you can do with Qatium, with water quality, in this case, a water agent, seeing the impact directly onto network. So not only actually performing the operation, but also saying, okay, well, now I'm going to stop my flushing. And from that point onward, if I continue to play through the day, I can also see how quickly my water is going to go back to being old and stale, right? So here is going to take a little bit of time because I've been flushing for some hours here, but you can see directly from the first hour that some really old water is coming through. And no surprises, because this DMA is one of the DMAs that's the furthest away from a tank. You can see that we also have similar cases here where we can do exactly the same thing. And I don't want to bore you to death around one water age and so on, but I will add a couple of more things. So just similar to what I showed with the pressure, you can also filter out the water age. So you might want to be focusing, on all the dark spots and all the dark points in your network. So and to be able to say, okay, well, these are the areas that I need to focus on, or these are the areas that I need to inspect. Double check on my chlorine levels, maybe send some crews out there, and so on. And oftentimes, and more often than we probably care to admit, those areas are probably going to be the areas where we will have some issues, and where we will have a customer calling for water being discolored and so on and so forth. Please note that this is not a flushing demo and exercise. If we want to go into that case and we want also to get some flushing insights from there, and we can activate that plugin here in Qatium, and also we would be able to see any risk of turbidity and discoloration. So if I bump up a little bit that value, I should be starting to see some discoloration, or maybe I'm flushing too hard. I'll lower it a little bit, and it will basically bring out all the areas that might have some discoloration risk. So in the interest of time, because we only have 7 minutes till the top of the hour, and I don't want to make anyone late to their next meeting, I think that I shall resume the presentation and tell you a little bit more about how we extend the platform, how we actually build that, and how you could build yours. So one thing that I just mentioned before I switched to the demo was the SDK, right? So SDK standing for Software Development Kit. So what it is and what can you use it for? So this is the base of Qatium's platform and allows basically integrators, utilities, casual coders. We just got a plugin released by a casual coder, which is super exciting when we get general population people, I want to say, that have coding skills and that are actually getting into the water game and want to contribute. So it's really, really exciting from my side, at least. And so what we're seeing is that all those people, including Qatium, so we're also using that SDK, are complementing the offering of Qatium, so extending really what we're offering. So platform, and on top some extra plugins. So plugins are the panels that you saw that I mentioned on the right. So the pressure panel was a plugin, the water age panel was a plugin, demand spike, and so on and so forth. And so people are building on top. We are building on top. and we're extending every day the possible usage of the platform. And we have other, and we're also partnering with some other companies and organization where they actually integrate with Qatium, right? So it's about pushing more data into Qatium in order to make even more out of Qatium. So expanding the amount of insights that you can get. So if we think about a sensor or IoT platform, like sending also more data about the IoT, not only the flow or the pressure, but also the potential accuracy or the battery life and that sensor, or whether that sensor actually has a warning on it and it needs to be taken care of, and so on and so forth. And so that's it, folks. For me, I really thank you for coming. Thank you for the questions. I think that we got a couple in the chat. But thank you for your time, and feel free to reach out. You have my email address here. We also have our community, so please be part of the journey and the experience. Come to Qatium. We'll show you a good time. And as I mentioned briefly at the beginning, Qatium is a freemium platform, so you can definitely start your journey for free through Qatium.com and log in, sign up, and so on. So back to you. I'm seeing one question coming in. So if I don't have water age data in my network, can I get those insights? So yes, totally. So that's the idea of Qatium, right? Is that we complement, we infer, and we just ask for, or we can be content with the minimal amount of data to take it to the next level. So even if you don't have water age simulations in your current network, Qatium will be able to help you with that and to actually get that information from your data in order to show those insights. I think that we have a couple more questions, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, we have two more, so I think we have some time for them.
Awesome. So I think that another question is, do you already have users using water age, and what do they do with it? So exactly what partly is exactly what I showed right now, right? So it's really trying to understand where are the dark points of their network, and also when they are actually having some emergencies, what is the impact of that onto the network? That could be bursts and so on, that can move quickly water around the network. But we also have a couple of cases where water quality being an issue in those networks, they already have a plan in place to mitigate that risk. And so then it's a question of, do our regular operations actually compromise all the efforts that we've been putting into actually like improving that water quality, right? So it's really always good to actually have a quick check. I like to call it a last minute check when you perform an operation, whether it's a shutdown, whether it's a flushing, whatever it may be, that you're actually not messing someone else's work, essentially, right? So yeah. And last but not least, or I don't know if we do have some more, I promise I will get to them by email or through the community. But this one is, do you have some sort of dashboard where we can see water quality? So yes, we do. I'm not able to show it to you right now, but we do. We have dashboards that can show essentially any kind of sensor. So whether it's chlorine, whether it's turbidity, whether it might be anything that you might want to monitor, any kind of like other species. And so definitely something that is available and that is actually in beta, I think, right now. So we should be releasing it very, very soon.
Thank you for getting to those questions. We are at time now, so great job with the demo. And just want to thank everybody today for joining us. We do these monthly, and we have a community webinar coming up soon. So you can stay up to date at our website, Qatium/community, and you can get some alerts for the upcoming events. Other than that, I hope everyone has a fantastic rest of the day and hope to see you at the next one.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Have a good day.